Who is Zeev Buium? Buium is a 6 foot, 185 pound left shot prospect in the 2024 NHL draft, a defenseman, and played with the University of Denver this past season, in which the Denver squad ended up winning the natty. So some pedigree that Buium brings to the table. In 42 games for the University of Denver this season, had 11 goals, 39 assists, 50 total points in 42 games. And then on the World Junior Championships, under 20 team, had 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 total points in the 7 games. He played on the U.S. National U18 team last year, had 40 points in 63 games, then played on the USA under 18 team in the World Junior Championships, had a goal and 5 assists. And on the U.S. National Development Team Prospect Juniors, had 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 total points in 23 games. He played at Shattuck St. Mary's and was a solid point producer there. But again, as a defenseman, like the numbers that he put up, pretty impressive, especially this past season. Elite Prospects has this to say about Buium. Buium scans ahead of each retrieval, plans his escape route in advance of collecting the puck, makes sure to draw in at least one forechecker, and then beats them with near comical ease, keying a clean breakout and activating into the rush. He is intelligent, deceptive, skilled, even creative in a part of the game where being efficient would suffice. Also related to all of the Detroit Red Wings, Shai Buium is one of his brothers, so already has some pedigree in the NHL as well. Let's get to Scott Wheeler's thoughts on Zeev Buium for this draft. Buium put together one of the better seasons by a teenage defenseman in recent college history this year, producing at or above the rates of some established NHL stars and elevating again and again in big moments. The World Juniors, the NCHC Tournament, and finally for the National Championship to stamp himself as a top 10 pick. Because of his December 2005 birthday, Buium, the younger brother of Red Wings prospect Shai, who he got to jointly win the Natty with at Denver, entered the national program a year ahead of Cole Eiserman and company. Last year, in his second season at the NTDP, he really hit his stride, becoming a driver for the U18s. But this season, after growing a little, he was listed at 5'11" last year and is now listed at 6 feet by NHL Central Scouting. He not only maintained his identity in college, but really expanded upon it, playing leading minutes and impacting play in all areas with his very active brand of hockey. He's a plus-level skater and handler who plays an extremely involved game in all 3 zones, whether that's activating into the rush or off the point, shaking pressure on exits or across/off the blue line, which he does extraordinarily well, making opposing players miss, working in and out of give and goes, or playing tight gaps against the rush. He's a very busy player on both sides of the puck, and he gets in and out of his transitions and footwork so quickly that he can play that style. When he's dialed in, applying pressure on and off the puck and using his feet and his skating to influence play, he can really impact a game in a lot of ways. His skates and deception have gone from a strength to a game-breaking or darn close quality. His head is always on a swivel. He opens up and walks the line to create lanes for his shot and pass so well, even working off of his offside. He sidesteps past opposing players with ease. He's got great hands, complemented by those inside edges and shoulder fakes. Some questioned his lack of physicality, with one scout even calling him soft early on in the year, but those questions were emphatically put to bed with the way he defended in the second half, going to work on some of the more talented forwards in college hockey defensively. He learned that the faster he cuts off plays, the more he can play offense, and really began to take space more assertively defensively on top of all of his stick work and footwork. He has played some very good hockey for a while now, last spring to finish strong at the NTDP, again at the World Junior Summer Showcase, again at the World Juniors, where he was pretty clearly one of USA's 4 best D as its youngest, and then all year as a big-time freshman with the Pioneers. He was viewed as a late first, early second rounder coming in and turned everyone into a believer with his play. He projects to be a top 4 playing, driving, offensively involved defenseman with a chance at stardom. Here is a little bit more on Zeev Buium from the Hockey Writers. Jesse Corville Lynch putting this profile together. Some of the rankings from various outlets. Couple of Hockey Writers had him 7th and 8th. Baracchini had him 7th. Horn had him 8th. NHL Central Scouting had him 4th. Bob McKenzie 13th. Sportsnet 8th. Future Considerations 8th. And Dauber Prospects midseason rankings had him 5th. So here's what Corville Lynch had to say about Zeev Buium. While he may not be the top defender heading into the 2024 NHL entry draft, Zeev Buium is a player many fans should learn the name of. He is a smooth skating defender with strong skills at both ends of the ice and has an extremely high IQ. He has maintained over a point per game average in the NCAA with the University of Denver this season and has established himself as a first-round lock heading into the upcoming draft. There is no real consensus as to who will be picked where after Macklin Celebrini almost surely goes first overall, leaving Buium's fate up in the air as to where he could truly be drafted. He might be the most well-rounded defender in this upcoming draft class, considering his IQ at both ends of the ice, and could be someone a team takes a gamble on, as he seems to only be getting better as the days go by. While he doesn't play a flashy style of game, he is still able to be evasive on the rush and create chances for himself and his teammates. His smooth skating is something that could get the attention of plenty of NHL teams, and he could be considered one of the strongest skaters in the draft class. He can find open space with his speed and ability to move laterally while moving up the ice, and his speed with the puck on his stick is simply phenomenal. His production offensively may draw some worries from fans who believe he is too one-sided, but that just isn't the case. He is just as strong offensively as he is in his own end. For reference, Buium is producing at a 1.22 points per game, which is the highest for a defenseman in NCAA history. As crazy as it sounds, Buium could go as high as 2nd overall in the 2024 draft. It's unlikely, but his skill set and his production levels are simply out of this world. This writer would consider him underappreciated and underrated heading into the draft, and if he slips out of the top 10, he would be a steal for any team that ends up bringing him in. His shot isn't talked about a lot, but when he chooses to use it, it is accurate and powerful. It can either find the back of the net or cause havoc in front of the net by generating a rebound. NHL draft projection from Jesse Corville Lynch of the Hockey Writers. There's not a lot of consensus between mock drafts as to where Buium will be drafted. However, he should be considered a guaranteed first-round pick and is likely locked to be selected before the 15th overall selection. In all likelihood, he should be selected anywhere between 6th and 12th overall, depending on team fit and need at the time of their respective selections. His NHL potential. Buium has the potential to be a top 4 defender in the NHL if he continues to focus on the little things in his game and progress them. It's unlikely he will make it into the NHL next season, and one more season at the junior level should benefit his development. Whichever team ends up taking him will have a future potential star on their hands. So some of the things that I like, again, the reason that we keep discussing these defensemen is that, as we've seen with drafts all the time, is there is potential for a player who's expected to go in one spot to just be passed on by that team because for whatever reason, their evaluation of him was not as high as others. And so then he slides. So Buium obviously, and Trav in the YouTube comments is going to fist pump at discussing Buium. While it may be more likely he goes higher, the pedigree is what I am most impressed with Buium, is the ability to play on both sides of the ice, the ability to contribute offensively, and to be great defensively too. Buium having just won the national championship, and just frankly being one of the best players on the ice during that entire time. That's what more can you ask for? That's the key for, I think, a lot of these players is, are they stand out? Do they stand out amongst their peers, or are they somebody that kind of falls on the wayside as when the going gets tough? And Buium is somebody who has he just has produced at an impressive level, and offensively being able to contribute as a defenseman is very that's a plus point as well. So Zeev Buium would certainly be a solid pick for the Minnesota Wild at number 13 if he slides out of the top 10.